Town Council at 7 o'clock on March 4th, 2024. All council members are present with the exception of Councilmember Hendricks. Would you all please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And before we get started, we are honored to have Chaparral AP class with us tonight. Y'all want to stand and say hi? I'm a dad, so I have to embarrass you in some way, shape, or form. So welcome, guys. So they'll be shadowing our meeting, and then they will be grilling your town council afterwards on everything that they voted on, right? You're holding them to the fire tonight. Great. It's good to see you guys. Thank you for being here. All right. With that, we will go to public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for town residents and other interested individuals to speak about items not on the agenda. This comment period is limited to the first 30 minutes of the meeting, and we will get any run over after that. I don't have anyone signed up for public comment, but is there anyone in the audience wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, we will move on to reports, items, and comments from mayor and council. I will start to my right with Councilmember Barrington.
On, let's see, what month are we in now? February 21st, I guess that was. I had a board meeting with the Douglas County Housing Partnership. On the 23rd, the rest of all of council actually had a retreat. It was an off-site meeting. We got a lot accomplished. It was fun. On the 29th, I attended, gosh, I can't get my words out tonight. Brandy, you've rubbed off on me.
I'm sorry.
I attended a grand opening for Terra Bluffs, which is a new senior community, independent, what are we?
And assisted living.
Assisted living. And then yesterday, I had a really fun day I attended, I guess you would call it a performance at the Pace Center, but it was called The Psychology of a Serial Killer. It's amazing how we're fascinated by all of that. And then tomorrow, I will be attending a senior support series where we'll be discussing how to understand and respond to dementia-related behavior. And then this Saturday, there is a complimentary I guess play, you would call it, but it's called Legendary Ladies of the West, and it's at the Pace Center. And again, there's no charge for that.
Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. I've been fairly busy. I'll go down to the state capitol. I went down last week on Tuesday and Thursday. I'll go down again tomorrow afternoon, and then Wednesday, possibly Thursday, to testify on behalf of the town of Parker on our opinions on certain bills. The way the State House works, a simple way to think about it is that they have committee meetings where the sponsors read their bills in front of the committee, and then at a point later, the public, it's open up to the public if you want to offer testimony. And then if they take it out of committee and goes to the floor, then the representatives or senators debate on the floor themselves. But as far as public testimony goes or opinion goes, that's heard in committee. So there's a lot of committees going on pretty much every day. But I'm honored to head down there and represent Parker and appreciate the council support and sending me down there. It's a true honor. And then speaking of students, if you guys have a chance in the Chronicle, this week, the editorials or the letters to the editor were all Legend High School AP kids. So their AP need was satisfied by writing letters to the editor regarding the town of Parker and our levels of service. So some very critical things and some ideas and some learning opportunities for those kids. But it was great to read their ideas and their viewpoints in the Chronicle. So if you get a chance, pick up the Chronicle. It's right outside the hallway, and read those letters. There are some great ideas in there.
Councilmember Dyak.
Josh, you mentioned Legend and Chaparral. Where is Ponderosa
There
at?
is Pondo. I'm telling you.
Josh and I graduated from Ponderosa High School many decades ago.
Many decades ago.
So we're old. Just want to let you guys know. On the 21st, we had a DRCOG board meeting. Some of the items, again, we discussed legislative matters. We also did election of officers for the DRCOG Executive Committee. Our neighbors to the west, the city of Lone Tree, Mayor Pro Tem Wynne Shaw will be the DRCOG chair here moving forward. So congrats to her. And also of note, the E470 representative for DRCOG will be Castle Pines Council member Deb Mulvey. So again, kudos to our neighbors within Douglas County stepping up to play a regional role. We appreciate that. On the 22nd, E470 had a finance committee meeting. We talked to our audit staff, who is KPMG, about the upcoming year and what their potential needs are and to lay out what the audit path will be. We also talked to our financial advisors, Piper Sandler. Piper Sandler was talking about our debt refunding options. We have 3 tranches, I believe, 2 or 3 tranches of debt that we need to consider and figure out what to do. So we talked about that. We just started talking about that. And again, as Councilmember Barrington indicated, I was at the council retreat as well. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilks?
Yeah, so on February 27th, I had a
I am so sorry.
Wow.
I had a phone call. No, I'm just kidding. I had a Parker Chamber of Commerce board meeting, update them on stuff that's happening in downtown Parker specifically and stuff that affects our businesses. On the 28th, myself and Councilman Rivero and Councilman Hendricks and the mayor attended the Unified Legend basketball game, which is always fun. And once again, they destroyed our officers. So I don't know, we need to get some basketball training up in there, but that was great. I was lucky enough to do a ride-along with Sergeant Troy Brienzo. Did I say that correctly? Perfect. And got to just see what happens in our community from those swing hours there. And exciting is not the right word, but definitely eye-opening. Like that exciting elicits a good thing. And when our officers are doing their job, it's because they're catching bad guys. So that's not the exciting part, but eye-opening to see what they go through. On March 2nd, I attended the Parker Fashion Week at the Parker Villa. It's under new ownership. And so the Fashion Week was there. And that was great just to get to see local models that work for these national designers. So that was a good time. And then the reason my brain is so slow is because last night I did the overnight ride along with Officer Courtney Reed. And so I'm a little tired, but overall it was fantastic.
Councilmember Hefta?
It seemed like it was a very busy couple of weeks, the last 2 weeks, for sure. We had the Parker Youth Awards with the mayor and Councilmember Wilks, and I attended that. And that went great. And we gave out different awards, different scholarship awards for the youth in the community here at the Pace Center. Councilmember Ann Barrington sponsored a Covered Colorado event a couple of weeks ago. I had put in Covered Colorado, an anti-human trafficking organization, for a certificate from the town. And then the Barrington Group sponsored a fundraiser for Covered Colorado, which was wonderful to go to that and see Ann in action, and along with many people from the local community supporting this anti-trafficking organization. I also attended a commissioner debate. As you know, 2024 is an election year, and many folks are up for office, including commissioners in Douglas County, people at the state level, people at the local level. And then I was invited from the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints to one of their stake events here in Parker, and I had the opportunity to attend with the mayor and Commissioner George Teal and Representative Kevin Van Winkle. And so that was a really wonderful evening as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Council. Busy weeks for everybody. Next up on the agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of consent agenda items unless council votes to remove an item for individual discussion. Ordinances on the consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for discussion. So, Council, you have consent agenda 4A through 4F for your consideration.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 4A through F, please.
Second.
Motion was made by Rivero, seconded by Wilks. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington,
Yes.
Dyak,
Yes.
Wilkes,
Aye.
Hefta.
Yes.
And that passes 5-0. We have 6 ordinances for your pleasure tonight, council. So let's get into this. Ordinance number 1.151.3 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to amend chapter 2.06 of the Parker Municipal Code concerning municipal campaign finance contributions. Kelsey, welcome.
All right, good to be here. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to speak with you about the Fair Campaign Practices Act. So last year, the Colorado General Assembly, they passed HB 23-1245, which made a few amendments to the Fair Campaign Practices Act, which the town traditionally has followed. These were to, for the first time, include contribution limits of $400 for individuals or $4,000 for small issue committees, increase the number of reports needed to be filed by candidates and others who are donating to candidate causes from 3 to 4, and then increase the retention schedule for elections-related documents from about 1 year after either filing if you were unsuccessful or 1 year after you leave office if you were successful, to 6 years after leaving office if you were successful, or 10 years after filing if you were unsuccessful. So what we decided is it would probably be best if we would propose something that would allow us to continue business as usual. As I mentioned, we've always followed the Fair Campaign Practices Act, and we wanted to be as transparent and clear as possible with those who are trying to participate in our elections. So what this ordinance would do is it would allow us to maintain our current parameters that we have been following. So it would expressly adopt the FCPA. That way everyone knows that we are following it no matter what. We wouldn't need to do anything to maintain our $500 limit. This is one of the only times I've seen it where we can actually be less strict than the state law if we are conflicting. It's very odd, but we're allowed to do it. It would keep our reporting requirements at 3 reports. That'd be 21 days before the election, the Friday before the election, and 35 days after the election. And then it would allow us to keep the elections-related documents pursuant to our retention schedule. So that is what we're proposing, and I'm here for any questions.
We'll start to my left this time. Councilmember Dyak, questions?
No questions. Thank you, Kelsey, for your work.
Of course.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions, thank you.
And Councilmember Rivera?
Thank you, Kelsey, for your work. Just real quick, what allows us as a town to supersede the Fair Campaign Practices Act from the General Assembly?
Sure, it's Colorado Revised Statute 145-117 that specifically deals with home rule jurisdictions. So in there's the very last paragraph says that we can have a different campaign finance related code from what's in the Fair Campaign Practices Act. It doesn't say anything about being less strict, and there's actually a couple of opinions. One is from the Attorney General, and then one is from the Secretary of State, which says that it's okay to not be more strict.
Excellent. So we are in compliance, and we just have the ability as a home rule municipality to set our own limits as the law says.
Yep, that's correct. And there's some case law suggesting that if we have any other campaign finance related ordinances that the FCPA as a whole drops out. That's never been directly ruled on, but that's one of the reasons that we did want to expressly adopt the FCPA, just so that we're covering our bases.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Of course.
So with that, council, I'll open it up for public comment at 7:13. Anyone from the public wishing to make comment on ordinance number 1.151.3? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:13 as well and bring it back to the council in reverse order. Councilman Rivera, any final comments?
None.
Councilmember Barrington?
Is it too late to ask a question?
Nah, go.
What constitutes a small donor committee?
So a small donor committee would be sort of, it's a group of people who they collect no more than $50 per person. And so it's, a group of small donors who can essentially pool those donations and then give them to a candidate.
So there's not a certain number of people within the committee that?
That's correct. It's not based on the number of donors, it's based on the amount that they give.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta, any final thoughts?
Well, just for really the students in the audience, really this goes to the heart of running for office, this particular matter. In running for office, you You have to comply with the Fair Campaign Practices Act. You have to file documents with your municipality if you're running. You have to establish bank accounts if you're going to take money. You have to file reports to the town clerk if you're going to take money. And so tonight we're just getting an overview of making sure that the town is going to comply with the Fair Campaign Practices Act and also limit these donations as well. And Kelsey gave us an overview of that. So running for office it can be a little tricky. And so Kelsey just went over this fact for us tonight. So if you're ever interested in running for office, you have to get with our town clerk, who's sitting right there over there, Miss Chris Vanderpool. So I just want to give you that information. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilks?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion on 1.151.3.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.151.3 on second reading, please.
Second.
Motion is made by Rivero, seconded by Hefta. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Next up is ordinance number 9.299.1 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the first amended and restated intergovernmental agreement between Douglas County School District RE1 and the town of Parker regarding the sharing of costs for providing police officers to act as school resource officers, SROs. Madam Town Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. We're here before you tonight to request that you consider an ordinance approving the amendments to the current SRO Intergovernmental Agreement, or IGA. The town of Parker has entered into intergovernmental agreements with the Douglas County School District for the past 15 years. During that time, both staff and the attorney's offices remain in communication to ensure that our IGAs reflect the current status of what is occurring and update the provisions both for clarification and for changes in the law. The current IGA before you has a few modifications. It's not substantial since the last one that we entered 2 years ago. The modifications for this IGA adopt potential requirements for the district to report certain types of activities to the state. The police department already has an obligation to report any time that a student is restrained, anytime that certain actions are taken on a campus, and this requirement is for the district to report those type of things, as well as additional things outside the purview of our SROs. It reflects additional duties required of the district to provide training to our officers. It has some modifications to our cost sharing with the school district, specifically with respect to the national or state conferences that the school resource officers attend. It updates the timelines with respect to the budget. Since we are on different budget schedules, we are working with the school district to ensure they have the information they need from the town with respect to any increases before their budget goes into place. And it has some flexibility for the bell schedules, which changed with the schools in this last year to allow our SROs to go at different times depending on the school that they are serving. The school board did review the draft IGA and approved it on January 24th of this year. So with these changes, we are asking that the council consider approving the IGA as well. We will continue to engage in discussions with the school district going forward to see if any modifications will be needed in the future. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions. The chief is here as well. I don't know if he has additional information to add.
Chief, anything to add on that? Okay, all right. So let's start with, to my right, Councilmember Barrington. Any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Councilman Rivero?
No questions at this time.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions.
Councilmember Wilks?
So the question I have is because I got to learn a lot about our SRO program. So we have, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 SROs that currently go between 12 different elementary schools and they touch in twice a day, right?
Correct.
Okay, so this would just allow the flexibility because obviously different schools have different time schedules. This gives our SROs the flexibility to do their job as they're supposed to do based on the different schools' time schedules. Yes?
Yes, we have 5 total SROs and 1 sergeant, so a total of 6. But the 2 kind of rotate around the elementary schools, middle schools, as needed. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Well, a couple questions. So, once again, for our young students in the audience here, I'm sure they've all seen and interacted with school resource officers. Can you just give the 3 top highlights of the accomplishments of the school resource officers and the part they play in our school system here in Douglas County, the top 3 things that they do that help the school system.
Well, I think the major, the major role is to establish the partnerships with the kids in the schools. Who's your SRO? Savage. Okay. With us in Douglas County, it's establishing that relationship with the kids, kind of humanizing, the police officer, letting the kids know that, the officers, they're approachable. We deal with the families, we provide resources, we do education as well for the kids, and, work with the schools and provide that safety and security for the schools and the staff there.
Great, thank you. And then, in particular, this IGA increases the efficiency of resources for both governmental agencies and eliminates the need for each to deadhead routes or double back in. Could you explain that a little bit? Jamie? Ms. Nguyen?
It lays out everything that the town's expectations and duties are with respect to our SROs and the school districts. So we come together, we work together to make sure it's more efficient, that if there's crossover with information that needs to be shared, that we have a process for that, and they know how to get the information from us that we need, because the police department does have to protect its records. So it allows for that communication to go back and forth, and it allows for a better process with respect to our budgetary requirements. So it does put out what each entity needs to know with respect to having this relationship move forward as efficiently as possible.
And then the last question for the chief. How highly trained are your student resource officers, the type of quality of police officer that goes into the school to work with the students?
They're very highly trained. We try to offer approximately 250 hours of training for all of our officers. With some of the new laws surrounding officers in schools and SROs, the school district is providing some additional training on how to handle, the students on campus. So we're putting the officers through that training as well. And it's not just the SROs that we're going to focus on. We're going to primarily do the SROs since they're working in the schools, but we're also going to provide that training to all the officers on patrol, because if somebody calls in sick and somebody else has to fill in, at least they have the same training so they can respond to those types of calls that would warrant that kind of training on the campus.
And thank you for coming out, Chief. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilor Rivera?
Thank you. I know that there was some concern with the school district maybe thinking of the SROs in their building as part of their team and not maybe police officers first. Does this IGA state that you are Parker police officers inside their building and there for the protection of the citizens and not as a security guard and not as a doorman, for lack of a better word?
Doorman, yeah. Yeah, I think.
I'm happy on the legal side. It specifically lays out that they are Town of Parker employees, and they are subject to the town's and police department's policies and procedures, and that they do defer to their chain of command through the school district. With that, though, it also lays out that we will work with the school district to ensure that everybody's needs are being met to the extent that we can, and that the school district has an open line of communication. And the chief can speak on the more practical side.
Yeah, and we've, it goes back to that partnership that we established with the school staff and the students. We really haven't had too many issues, with any of the schools, interfering, with the duties. So it's been a give and take, and we've established that partnership over the years to be positive.
Absolutely.
So it's worked out really well.
No, I appreciate that answer. I know it's a good relationship, and I know that we're not guilty of anything maybe here, but I know in other areas they may abuse the fact that they have a police officer on their building to do work that I think is above and beyond police work.
Yeah.
And I know I'm glad to see that this IGA reminds them that you guys are police officers and work for this city
Right.
of Parker, or town of Parker, excuse me. Oops.
We're all on dial-up tonight.
I was looking at Lassiter back there, and I thought
All right, with that, we will open this up for public comment at 7:24. Anyone from the public wishing to make comment on 9.299.1? Seeing none, we'll close it at 7:25 and bring it back to the council. Councilmember Rivera, any final comments?
No, I think it's absolutely the most important, not to say the most important thing we do, but it's definitely hugely important. I love the fact that you knew exactly who the name of the SRO was. Unfortunately, a deputy sheriff, but we'll get that figured out. But I know that even tonight it was mentioned the unified basketball game was Dan Britton and the SRO at Legend. And so it's just the involvement in the community and the chance to create those relationships with the students is of the utmost importance. So well done, and I appreciate the IGA.
Councilmember Barrington?
Yeah, I just echo what Councilmember Rivero said, and we appreciate you and all of our SROs. Thanks for keeping us safe.
Councilmember Dyak?
No comments, supportive.
Councilmember Wilks?
I mean, yeah, if it were up to me, I'd have 2 SROs in every school in the nation, but one step at a time. So I love that you guys are working to just make more and get us more and keep our town safe on another level. So thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Yeah, for the students in the audience, we have an award-winning police department here and chief that has to meet some of the highest standards to win the awards they have over the years. There are awards across the department. And they work really hard, the SROs, and I see them every day when I go to my child's school, in the school. And so rest assured, they're working for the town of Parker, they're working for the students, they're working for the parents, they're working for the community, and they are a terrific resource for our school system. They really are. So have no doubt on that, and that you have a wonderful chief and a wonderful police department here. Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain a motion on 9.299.1.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.299.1 on second reading.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Wilks, seconded by Barrington. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0. Next ordinance is ordinance number 9.367 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Parker and the Parker Water and Sanitation District regarding cost sharing for the improvements of Dransfeld Road. Mr. Grabcheck in for Mr. Hudson.
Yes.
Welcome, sir.
Big shoes to fill, but I'll do my best here. Thank you. Yeah, good evening, Mayor and council members. This item is for an intergovernmental agreement between the town and Parker Water and Sanitation District for the Dransfeld Road Extension Project. Oops. As council is aware, the town has been looking at an extension of Dransfeld over Cherry Creek to Motzenbacher Road for well over a decade now. This area is an important part of Parker's long-term roadway transportation plan. And to that effect, a construction contract with SEMA was approved by council on January 16th. As a part of the roadway improvements, the existing undersized corrugated metal pipe culvert conveying the KOA tributary will need to be upsized to a double-cell concrete box culvert. Parker Water and Sanitation has 5 existing water lines underneath Motzenbacher Road, and these will need to be relocated as a part of the culvert improvements. With the lines being within the town right-of-way, Parker Water is responsible for the payment of the relocation of these lines. Here's a vicinity map showing the proposed alignment of Motzenbacher Road and Dransfeld Road. You can see the relocation area in question circled in black just north of the Dransfeld extension. This relocation has been coordinated heavily with Parker Water staff. This relocation was designed by the town's roadway consultant. And the work was bid out with the roadway project so that 2 separate contractors did not need to work in the same small work area at the same time. This type of agreement has been used on a lot of similar town projects when we're relocating, Parker Water infrastructure within town right-of-way. Parker Water has reviewed the bid results and is in concurrence with the awarded contract to SEMA Construction for the total price of $818,580. With this IGA, Parker Water will pay the town this full amount within 30 days of execution. And if construction costs increase or change orders occur, Parker Water will reimburse the town for that amount. Likewise, if there are any deductions on the contract, the town will reimburse Parker Water. This picture is a technical drawing showing the realignment. You can see the 5 lines going up and around the culvert in between those 2 kind of rock hatched areas. This is the proposed realignment, as Parker Water did not want the water lines underneath the culvert due to its size and concerns about its weight and access for, pipe repairs. As a part of the relocation, a portion of the water lines will now lay outside of the town right-of-way. Therefore, this IGA also dedicates a permanent easement for the portion that is outside of the right-of-way. The easement is located within a drainage open space tract of the KOA North tributary and east of Motzenbacher-Dransfeld intersection. This easement is not within the planning area for the future Salisbury Park North. So here's another vicinity map showing the location of the realignment where it goes across the blue KOA tributary. It'll go underneath it and then back over to the roadway alignment. This is all kind of well outside the Salisbury North area. So in summary, Parker Water wants our contractor to handle the line relocation, and this IGA will codify the payment for the line relocation by SEMA, as well as any reimbursement for deductions or change orders, as well as dedicating a permanent easement for the new line location. Parker Water executed this IGA on February 6th. And now this is before Town Council, and staff is recommending approval. Questions?
Thanks, sir. Councilmember Hefter, we'll kick off with you on questions.
I have a feeling my husband, who's a water engineer, would understand this exactly, perfectly, as I look at this. But just for a little clarification, Public Works and Engineering is going ahead and entering into a intergovernmental agreement with Parker Water and Sanitation. And so how has the cooperation been between you and Parker Water? Can you elaborate a little bit over the last many years? Because frequently, for the students in the audience, government agencies have to enter into agreements with other government agencies to get the work done. And that's what's happening here.
Yeah, luckily Parker Water and Sanitation District and Town Public Works have a really good relationship. It goes across multiple different, staff members and teams, kind of working hand in hand pretty frequently on both development projects and town projects. So just kind of having that rapport, even on projects where it may not be the town or Parker Water doing the work. We're both maybe reviewing the same projects. We get to coordinate a lot. And so, yeah, we've been lucky in that regard. It's been a fruitful relationship, and we like to think we don't cause any squeaky wheels through the process. But it does require a little extra paperwork as far as intergovernmental agreements, as opposed to if they were, under the town or something like that.
And then should we enter into this tonight, how soon would the work begin?
Yeah, so the work is still scheduled to begin here in mid-March. And I don't think this would slow anything down.
Is that those signs I see?
Oh, yes. So there was a little bit of maybe a miscommunication on the road closure that was jumping the gun a little bit by the contractor, but we do expect that road closure to take place here in a couple weeks in March. So
considering I live over there, I'll update that. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes, definitely.
Councilmember Wilks?
So the reason we're working to relocate this is because we're changing Dransfeld. Essentially, we're that sharp turn that we have, we're kind of flattening out that turn, and so the water line needs to be relocated. That's the reason why, right?
That is a portion of the reason why, yes. In addition to the relocation of the roadway, there's an very old culvert for that mostly dry ditch that is the KOA tributary. As the area develops, that'll see more flows, and the culvert needs to be upgraded. And so, but where before it was going under the culvert, the upgraded culvert is kind of much larger and then also a big concrete structure. So Parker Water has concerns about the pressure of the structure on top of their water lines. So they wanted to go around the new culvert where typically it would go under the culvert or over the culvert, and here it can't go over it.
So it's a much due upgrade that we need to do anyways.
Yes.
And it just makes sense to do it while we're doing the construction of Dransfeld.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank
Yep.
you.
Councilman Dyak?
You know, when I first looked at this, I had a concern, and I'll give it to you. I want to make sure that this doesn't inhibit access to the taco truck, because that's very important. Everybody uses the taco truck. You got it handled, Mike? Because it's important for people. Taco truck's important, so we want to make sure the taco truck has access so the patrons can get to them. And I think we're okay with that based on the location. Correct?
The whole design revolved around the taco truck.
Okay,
So
okay.
that's
I just want to
true.
make sure that we're good. So citizens out there, you can lunch tomorrow at the taco truck. We'll be there.
Councilmember Barrington?
I can't do better than that. But, okay, so we're starting this mid-March. How long do you think it's going to take?
I believe the construction schedule is 18 months. Chris might throttle me for giving you guys a wrong date, but that sounds about right.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Rivera?
Mike, you let Jose know we're looking out for him, all right? The question I guess I have, and I think you answered it, this is not just riprap, this is a concrete PRF, or this is a velocity reducer, or this is a big piece? This is not just a little bit of rock on top of the water lines?
Yes, yeah. And so there is a sculpted drop that comes in at the upstream side of the culvert. And so that'll have quite a bit of energy dissipation with the drop. But then as it kind of goes through the culvert, it'll pick back up. And then there's a large kind of boulder drop on the downstream side.
And then are we looking at 5 exposed lines, or were they going to be inside of a conduit of some kind, or?
Yeah, they'll be buried, I guess,
Oh, so
a little
I
bit
apologize.
deeper than typical. And then, yeah, I believe they're also in
Okay,
carrier
no, my
conduits.
apologies. I thought we were bridging over the culvert. No,
Oh.
we're going under it, but past the concrete structure.
Yeah, we're going, exactly,
Okay.
under it, but past the concrete structure. So we're going under the channel just downstream of the culvert.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
All right, with that, I will open this up for public comment at 7:38 p.m. Anyone wishing to make public comment on 9.367? Then we'll close it at 7:38 and bring it back to council in reverse order. Councilmember Rivera?
No, much needed, early steps in this huge project. I will point out, council, I believe our motion is dated in our packet. So,
Okay. Thanks for that. Councilmember Barrington?
No comment, thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
We'll let Josh do the motion then.
Yeah.
'cause
mine's dated, yours?
No comments.
Mine's not.
Okay, Councilmember Wilks?
No comments. Thank you.
And Councilmember Hefta?
Well, we've heard from another important directorate from the town tonight. First, we heard from the police officers, and now we have our public works and engineering. And just to point out how a town runs, when you're out there and on the road driving safely to obey the law, and you see those white trucks with the blue signs that says Parker, Public Works and Engineering, Town of Parker, that's our Public Works and Engineering hard at work, keeping your roads safe, improving the structures, the bridges, and as we've heard tonight, the tributaries, drainage ways, storm drainage improvements, and various other things. So again, these folks are employed by the town. They work for the town. They have pretty important jobs, and they're working for the town, the folks here that live in Parker. So you can have a beautiful community. So thank you very much, Mr. Grabcheck, for your presentation tonight.
Great. With that, I will entertain a motion on ordinance number 9.367.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.367 on second reading, please.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Rivera, seconded by Barrington. Rivera?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilkes?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0. Next up, under liquor license fees with our town clerk, we've got an ordinance and a resolution, so I'll go ahead and read those both in. Ordinance number 5.28.34 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to amend Chapter 5.02 of the Parker Municipal Code to remove specific fee amounts for liquor licenses and reflect that liquor license fees are set by resolution of the town council. And resolution number 24-016, a resolution setting license and application fees for liquor license. Madam Town Clerk.
Good evening. So currently, the Parker Municipal Code sets forth fee amounts for certain liquor license applications. So if this ordinance is approved, it would amend the code to reflect that all liquor license fees and application fees are set by resolution by council. And then as amended from time to time in the amount not to exceed the amounts authorized by the applicable section of the Colorado Beer and Liquor Code. I know that's a lot. As the same may be amended from time to time. So if the ordinance is approved, then council would consider a resolution to set the fees. And then the resolution adopts and incorporates the local fees set forth by the Colorado Department of Revenue Liquor Enforcement Division fee schedule. And then sometimes we have the ability to set local application fees, which the state authorizes a fee range, and there's a couple in that resolution, such as the retail establishment permit, the festival permit, and a modification of premise as it relates to a communal dining permit. And I'll take any questions.
Great. We'll start to my right with Councilmember Barrington on questions on either the ordinance or the resolution.
So basically, this resolution is just going to allow for more flexibility and,
So the ordinance pulls the amounts out of the code and then drops them into a resolution. So each time there is a change in fees, we don't have to come back to you. We can just do a resolution, and we don't have to do an ordinance. Which is a lot more, done more simply.
thanks.
Councilmember Rivera?
So yeah, again, that was my question also. So an ordinance would have to come in front of us on first reading and consent, and then come back in front for the public hearing, whereas a resolution can be passed on consent. It's just adjusting a fee in a timely
Correct.
fashion.
Correct.
Councilmember Dyak?
No questions. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Wilkes?
No questions, thank you.
And Councilmember Hefta?
No questions, thanks.
Great. With that, we will open it up for public comment at 7:43 on either resolution 24-016 or ordinance number 528.34. And I thought that would have made the clock move a little bit, but it didn't. So we'll close it at 7:43 as well. Bring it back to council in that same order. Councilmember Barrington, any final thoughts?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Rivera?
Appreciate the work. Thank you. This is speedy, efficient government. Appreciate that.
Councilmember Dyak?
I have nothing.
Councilmember Wilkes?
I second Councilman Rivero. Thank you for taking the time to make this easier on us and on the town people.
And Councilmember Hefta?
This particular matter is talking about the liquor license fees that the town is setting by resolution. And we just keep in mind that Colorado also has a Colorado liquor code and liquor enforcement laws, regulations, and rules that folks have to comply with as well. But this particular issue is just on the liquor license fees for the town of Parker.
Great. With that, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 5.28.34.
I move to approve ordinance number 5.28.34 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Wilkes, seconded by Hefta. Rivera?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. And next up, I'll entertain a motion on resolution number 24-016.
I move to approve resolution number 24-016 on regular agenda.
Second.
Motion is made by Wilks, seconded by Hefta. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0. Next up, we have two ordinances under the Cherry Creek Wetlands and Riparian Areas. Ordinance number 1.600 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance granting a declaration of use to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for Cherry Creek Wetland and Riparian Areas that are owned by the town of Parker concerning Dransfeld Road, and ordinance number 1.601 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance granting a declaration of use to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for Cherry Creek Wetlands and Riparian Areas that are owned by the town concerning open space. And to our students, didn't I tell you some of them are really long and complicated? This guy always brings me the long, complicated ones, so.
It's true. I never give you an easy one.
Mr. Grabczyk, welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members again. These ordinances are for the recording of a declaration of use restrictions document to protect wetland and riparian areas proposed with the Dransfeld Bridge and Creek projects. The construction of the Dransfeld Road extension and Cherry Creek at Dransfeld Road restoration projects require the dredging and filling of wetland areas. Per Section 404 of the 1972 Clean Water Act, the United States Corps of Engineers regulates dredging and filling of wetlands within the waters of the United States, such as Cherry Creek. To obtain a permit for construction, the town must mitigate for any loss of wetlands using the following mitigation options. You can pay for mitigation bank credits. The one that would be acceptable for this project would be the confluence of the Big Thompson and the Platte. An in lieu fee program, which are all outside of Parker. Permanently installed mitigation areas under a watershed approach, which it would be if a number of municipalities got together and tried to do restoration mitigation, almost like a public bank. Permanently installed mitigation on-site and in kind, and permanently installed mitigation off-site and or out of kind. This project utilizes the on-site and in-kind mitigation is what we're proposing. As of 2022, the Corps has been requesting that requiring that proposed on-site mitigation areas be protected by legal instrument. This requirement was lobbied mainly by mitigation banks, as they are always required to provide this level of legal protection, and they felt that applicants using on-site and in-kind should be required to as well. This slide shows the areas proposed to be restricted by the Corps permit. As you may notice, these areas are located within the already heavily encumbered areas of Cherry Creek. The areas are shown in red here. The floodplain is shown in blue, and the black hatched area is the riparian conservation zone. This document limits future earthwork or infrastructure construction within the mitigation areas. However, these mitigations are already restricted by FEMA, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and the Corps, so any future development would have required permits through these agencies regardless. Mitigation plans associated with these areas allow for town maintenance and emergency repairs of structures. Future utility crossings may be bored beneath the mitigation areas so as not to impact the wetlands. Mitigation areas and plans do require a 5-year establishment period, but after which there's no long-term maintenance required for these wetlands. So overall, the on-site wetland mitigation and declaration of use restrictions proposed for the two Dransfeld projects looks to be the best path forward for mitigating impacts to wetlands. Money on mitigation plantings is being spent within the town and can be enjoyed by town residents. And the areas proposed to be impacted by the additional restrictions are already heavily encumbered from any development, and staff does not foresee impacts to future town projects within these areas. As such, staff recommends approval of ordinance 1.600 and 1.601. Thank you.
All right, staff questions. Councilmember Dyak, you want to start us off?
No, I don't have any questions for Michael. Thank you for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Wilks?
No questions, thank you.
Councilmember Hefta.
Wow, there is so many federal agencies here in this that you're working with.
It's fun.
And right, so there was, so could you just briefly name all the federal agencies that you had to work with for these wetlands?
Yes. So for the project in general, FEMA, who regulates floodplains, had to be consulted, and we had to get an approval through them. U.S. Fish and Wildlife and our riparian conservation zone are for protection of the Preble's jumping mouse. And so we have kind of set procedures on how to mitigate for that particular creature, and we have mitigation areas set aside already, properties for habitat. And then there's also the Corps of Engineers, and they regulate waters of the United States, and that includes wetland areas. And those are a big part of the ecosystem, but also a big part of keeping the creeks healthy to be used for commerce. So those are the major players, I'd
And
say.
they all required separate applications of some sort to be filed with, that you had to
Usually-
file?
Yeah, FEMA and then U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Corps, or rather U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Corps, we permitted through together. They were consulting each other through the permitting process, and then FEMA is kind of its own thing, and so that was separate.
Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Barrington.
I don't have any questions for you. Thank you.
And Councilmember Rivera.
Thank you. Appreciate the work on this. I know this has been this is the hardest part, is the federal applications, the Corps and the Clomer and all of that take a long, long time. And the foresight on this is huge. I appreciate the work. On top of the federal protections, this also is Parker deeded open space, correct?
That is correct.
So under our own protection, we will not be building anything on this in the future.
That is correct. I actually had that in there and took it out. So good comment.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we will open for public comment at 7:52. Anyone wishing to make public comment on either ordinance 1.600 or 1601? I should technically give you 6 minutes for 2, but hey, before you get started though, how is your new life in the town of Parker? Last time you were out in the county. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Can you hit your mic at the bottom? The green light? There you go. All right, sir, if you will state your name and address for the record and give you your time.
Name is Mike Smith. Address is 11321 Dransfeld Road. It's the property that used to be mine. Now it belongs to the town. That'll be affected by the floodplain revision and the waterway, the revision and everything. And it's, like was stated a while ago, this is part of a project that's been a long time coming. And one thing that Mr. Crabshack has told me that he would supply for me is a nice fishing hole down in the creek bottom there.
Nice.
Right? For you and I. Okay. But anyway, looking forward to the whole thing getting started, and things are progressing already over at the farm. And I just wanted to make sure you guys were all going to be there next Monday at the groundbreaking ceremony. We're having there at 2:30 in the afternoon. And I might be able to arrange an hors d'oeuvre from the taco stand.
That's where the pre-party is.
Yeah. So, anyway, I want to thank you guys very much. Thanks for the Public Works Department and all their good work that they've done to get this going for us. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to make public comment? All right, we'll close it then at 7:54 and bring it back to council. In that same order, Councilmember Dyak, any follow-up comments?
No, I mean, again, as Mr. Smith indicated, this is part of a much bigger project, if you will. It has been a long time coming, the Dransfeld extension. Mr. Smith has been ever so gracious to allow us to extend a roadway through his development, and the The pre-party will be at the taco truck. I plan on getting there really early. I don't know how early I will be, but again, this is just one of those things that has been with myself and other staff members before me, and I've been here 12 years. So we're just very thankful to have a partnership with Mr. Smith, and we can create a parallel route to Parker Road to connect Dronsfeld and to Motzenbacher, and I think it's going to help traffic flow in and around the town of Parker, and hopefully spur a couple of other private development things along the way if we're lucky. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilks.
I'm very sad that I won't be there on Monday, but I'm excited to have some more tacos when I get back. No, I think this is fantastic. I mean, Councilman Dyak said it perfectly, so I'm in favor.
Councilmember Hefta.
I'd like to say that's a great briefing because, these issues related to wetlands are complicated. And so you have to start working with the U.S. Corps of Engineers, whose primary service goal is to strengthen the national security, reduce risks and disasters, and energize the economy. So when you start working with federal agencies, you also have to comply with different Clean Air and Clean Water Acts as well, under federal guidelines as well. And so sometimes this gets really complicated. So the engineers have to work with the lawyers over there, Ms. Wynn, and they have to work with their directorate. And sometimes this is not easy to figure out. So thank you for your hard work on this.
Excellent. I think Councilmember Barrington.
There's a lot of moving parts here, and it's been going on for a long time. And my 3 years on council have had very little to do with this, but I'm just excited that I get to be part of the groundbreaking and see it come to fruition. Thank you.
And Councilmember Rivero.
Thank you. And one of my other hats I get to wear is chairman of the Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority, and this falls heavily in that, and this project is heavily watched. The reservoir, as a lot of you know, was built after the Great Flood, and everything that we do nowadays is because of the lessons learned. I have gone on record and maybe spoke against waters of the U.S., navigable waters of the U.S. But this is a situation where I think the importance of wetlands is identified. I, too, am an advocate for wetlands, and we do our best. We don't do our best. We preserve the floodway and the floodplains. Sometimes through the ordinances, wetlands are overlooked, and I'm glad to see here that with our work and with the Corps' work, we're reinstigating a wetland, and I don't know who the contractor is going to be, but I have an idea. It's going to be good for Parker. It's going to be good for the creek as an ecosystem. So well done.
With that, I will entertain a motion on ordinance number 1.600.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.600 on second reading.
Motion is made by Rivero, second by Barrington. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 1.601.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.601 on second reading.
Second.
Close.
Motion is made by Rivero, seconded by Hefta.
Yeah.
All right. Rivero and Hefta. Rivero?
Aye.
Barrington?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Wilks?
Aye.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0. You can never anticipate. I thought it may be the same, so never anticipate. All right, last item of the night. Contracts over $500,000. A construction contract for West Main Street Operational Improvements Project with Elite Surface Infrastructure. Mr. Ekstrom, welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. It's good to be back. Tonight, we have a construction contract with Elite Surface Infrastructure. It exceeds $500,000, so we're doing a presentation for that. It's a West Main Ops Improvements Project. So where is it happening? There's kind of two projects rolled into one. There's a project on 20 Mile Road and a project on Dransfield. Both bookend between Pony Express and Main Street. So what is happening? The 20 Mile Road improvements include constructing a new left turn lane southbound 20 Mile Road to eastbound Stage Run, constructing a new right turn lane southbound 20 Mile Road to westbound Main Street, reconstruct from a single left turn lane to double left turn lane from eastbound Main Street to northbound 20 Mile Road, replace the traffic signal at the southwest corner of Main Street and 20 Mile Road, and there's select street maintenance work, and then of course all related incidental work, utilities, landscape restoration, signage, striping, etc. The Dransfield Road improvements, what's happening there? We're widening from a 4-lane section to a 5-lane section, including the addition of one new southbound through right turn lane between Main Street and Pony Express Drive. Reconstruct sidewalks and curb ramps along the widened section to increase pedestrian mobility and ADA compliance. Replace and/or reset multiple traffic signals along the project limits due to the widening. And then all related incidental work. A little background about the project. The 20 Mile Road project was bid in March 22, but it was over budget. So the project was postponed and bundled with the Dransfield Road project for economies of scale purposes. The bundled project was later retitled West Main Ops Improvements Project. Town Council authorized multiple contracts for design services with FHU for both projects during 2021, 2022, and 2023. Town Council approved ordinance number 1.570 in November of 2022, authorizing staff to proceed with good faith negotiations with property owners. Town Council accepted conveyances of right-of-way needed for the Dransfield Road project via 5 separate ordinances in 2023. And funding has been appropriated for construction in the Urban Renewal Project Fund. So when is it happening? Construction is scheduled to start mid-March 2024 and be completed September 30th, 2024. Accesses to businesses to be maintained with traffic control and coordination. Bid results, we received 6 bids, which is pretty good considering what we've been averaging here lately. Elite Surface Infrastructure was the responsible low bidder. The engineer's estimate is at the bottom there. So that's the results of the bid. In conclusion, staff recommends Town Council award a contract with Elite Surface Infrastructure in the amount of $3,872,964.02, including a 15% owner's contingency held outside the contract by the town for unforeseen conditions. With that, I'll take any questions.
Great. Councilmember Rivera, you want to kick us off?
Thank you. Have we had work done by Elite Surface Infrastructure before in the town of Parker?
Yes.
Excellent.
They just finished up the Pikes Peak Drive
that's right.
sidewalks project.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Actually, I don't have any other questions.
All right, Councilmember Barrington?
Could you go back 2, 3 slides, maybe to the one right before this one? So how many meetings have we had just on this project?
Multiple meetings. I've lost count. The right-of-way took some time on Dransfield, and each one of those ordinances were brought to council. So there were 5. I believe, it's it's the fourth bullet point there, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5 ordinances that were presented individually. We had design contracts with FHU for both projects that were presented to town council. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that might have went forward. I think that's about it.
So these things don't just happen overnight.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dyak?
I think Josh sort of asked my question. I mean, Elite, we've worked with them just one time or multiple times, or?
Multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah, I just finished up Pikes Peak Drive.
Yeah.
They did a good job on Pikes Peak. I know that they've done other roadway projects in the town.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Great. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilks?
No questions, thank you.
And Councilmember Hefta?
So since this is a contract, and it was bid in March of 2022, can you estimate the inflationary rate on some of the cost of materials and how much contracts have gone up for this type of work in the past couple of years?
I don't have an exact number in my head. I know that within the last 2-3 years, we've seen quite a bit of increase. It seems like the market is starting to flatten a little bit now. But work just costs more money seems like every year.
The inflation on labor and materials and
Yeah.
and costs for this. And then a little bit about the 15% owner's contingency held by the town for unseen conditions. Can you talk to that?
Sure. Yeah, so normally I would carry about a 10% contingency. This is 2 projects, so I've increased that to 15% because of there being 2 projects. The bid was also pretty low relative to the engineer's estimate. So there's always a little bit of risk going in to a contract like that when the bid is lower than the engineer's estimate. So we will manage it diligently, but there's at least a little cushion in there in case we need to.
Yeah.
Also to add work, I mentioned that there's select streets renovation work on 20 Mile. If we get in there and we think, well, maybe we'll do a little bit more concrete replacement work, then we have a little more budget to do that.
Some cost amendments and overruns with the contractor as well?
Try not to.
Try not to?
Yeah, definitely try not to. So we're trying to get value out of that 15% if it gets used. Normally, we don't use it all. A lot of times, we don't even dip into it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
All right, with that, we'll open up for public comment at 8:07. Anyone from the public wishing to make comment on this contract? Seeing none, we'll close it at 8:07 and come back to the council for final comments. Councilmember Rivera?
Thank you. Obviously, a much-needed improvement. We've all seen traffic stack in the afternoons southbound Dransfeld. We've all seen the U-turns that people take to get into the movie theater area because there's no left in on the southbound 20 Mile there. Much needed, much identified in right turns, slowing traffic down on westbound Main. The list goes on. This is in my opinion, it's a large value, but it's a great bang for the buck. I believe this is really going to help the flow in this area for citizens in this area. So well done, and can't wait for the fall.
Yeah.
Councilmember Barrington?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing this into the finish line.
You bet.
Yeah, Councilmember Dyak?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a great addition. My office right in that area in Dransfeld, and it has significant safety concerns. It's tax season. I'm a financial guy. I'm in the office a lot. I hear at least 2 or 3 accidents during that season, and hopefully expanding that, making it safer, will help us out all. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilks?
I second everything they said, so thank you.
All right, Councilmember Hefta?
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
With that, I'll entertain a motion on the contract with Elite Surface Infrastructure.
I move to approve the staff recommendation as part of the regular agenda.
Second.
Motion is made by Barrington, seconded by Rivera.
Aye.
Barrington.
Yes.
Dyak.
Yes.
Wilks.
Aye.
Hefta.
Yes.
That passes 5-0 with no other business before the Parker Town Council. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made by Rivera, seconded by Hefta. Rivera.
Aye.
Barrington.
Yep.
Dyak. Wilks.
No.
Hefta.
Yes.
And that passes 4-1, and we are adjourned at 8:09.